After 1,000 hours in Risk of Rain 2, I am ranking every item in the game based on my Eclipse 8 experience. Today, we are doing boss items, starting with number 14, the Defense Nucleus. There is another reason this is called Ducleus for short, other than it being a short version of its name. It's because it's also a dookie item. These little constructs cannot move and do not do enough damage to health. That, plus the fact that you only get them by killing elites, you only have a maximum of 4 of them, and you're only able to get this item from Z constructs on sulfur pools or at the end of stage 5. It means you're not getting much use out of them anyway. Number 13 lands us on Planula. Here is another example of an item you can only get from stage 5, making it extremely useless. The issue with Planula is it's a flat 15 HP. By the time stage 5 rolls around, nothing does 15 damage anymore. That's what one Wisp does on stage 1. Not only that, but it heals you before you take damage. Meaning if you have 100 health and get hit by an attack, it will heal you for 0, since you're already at maximum. Then it will deal the full damage to you. On top of all of that, it makes Mithrix Phase 4 much harder. This is generally an item to avoid picking up and might actually be worse than Defense Nucleus now that I'm saying this out loud. Number 12, we have Titanic Knurl. Getting 40 flat health is super mid, but the health regen can be slightly helpful. But in reality, it's about 2 Bison Steaks and 1/2 of a Cautious Slug bundled into a yellow item. At number 11, we have the Pearl. Super simple, 10% health. Beautiful. It's about the health version of a personal shield generator. You have to sacrifice lunar items for it, and lunar items are usually way more broken, so getting these out of cleansing pools is usually disappointing. Number 10 is the Gloop, also known as the Genesis Loop. Outside of Rex and Engineer, this item doesn't see much use. It's strong, but hard to use on purpose, so it gets a lower rank. Also, the item itself is questionably designed. Number 9, we have the Halcyon Seed. Look, I love Aurelian Knight as much as the next guy, but overall, she isn't super helpful in a run for anything other than drawing aggro during a teleporter event. Phase 4 Mithrix is where she shines and can make that significantly easier, but other than that, there are better options in the boss item tier. Now at number 8, we have Queen's Gland. Oh look, another buddy that's way less powerful than the last one, but my Beetle Guard has got my back all run. And I mean all run. Not only is the Beetle Bestie with me outside of teleporter events, but the 30-second respawn timer is glitched and instead it respawns instantly. Meaning no matter what, I have my BG by my side to draw some aggro. Number 7 brings us to the Mired Urn. I used to hate on this item, but it comes in surprisingly handy sometimes. It adds a debuff to enemies for Deathmark and makes them slow, as well as siphoning health. It's great passive damage and healing, and often goes overlooked. Just be careful when walking near things that go boom. Don't mind me, just gonna be fighting. Oh. Number 6 is Empathy Cores. Here is where we reach the good tier of these items. Empathy Cores are strong. They can fly. And they are 1/2 of the best item combination in the game with spare drone parts. They also stack in damage. Not only more damage if you stack them, but also based on the number of allies you have. Beetle Guard, Healing Drone, Happiest Maz, Elder Lemurian, all of these allies will boost the probe's damage even further, making them an excellent boss item. As good as this item is though, there is nothing scarier in the entirety of Risk of Rain 2 than when you're fighting Mithrix with a melee survivor and he takes your items phase 4 and then you gotta deal with these guys chasing you around the arena. To start our top 5, we have Shatterspleen. Now this and number 4 were a toss-up for me, but I'll get there in a minute. Shatterspleen is amazing AoE and allows you to bleed an enemy with tri-tips and crit glasses. It also gives you a 5% crit chance to get you started. Now, without other crit and bleed, this item is pretty useless, which is why it's not number 4, but both crit and bleed are white items, so almost every run is going to give you great Shatterspleen usage. Number 4 is the Little Disciple. Movement speed can be hard to find after the recent DLC items were added. They might get a rework. I don't know how they're going to be, but that could be good. But these tracking wisps are a fantastic source of passive damage regardless. The real kicker here is the proc coefficient. Having a 1.0 proc coefficient and firing off every 1.6 seconds at base speed means you can create some insane proc chains and send a good run into space. And if you already have even decent movement speed, like 5 goat hoofs worth, GG. You don't even need to shoot Mithrix. Now our top 3 begins with the Molten Perforator. Fantastic AoE once again, and works with Ignition Tank, plus the ability to get this starting stage 3 makes this item incredible. This could be slightly lower on the list as survivors like Loader don't get as much use out of it, but it's too fun to use to not have in our top 3. The second best boss item is the Charged Perforator. This is the slightly upgraded brother of the Molten Perforator, as instead of 3 random fireballs of 300 damage each, it deals 500 to the target you hit. Meaning if you put this thing at the end of a proc chain, there's easy one-shot potential. You go from a Loader Punch to an ATG to a Charged Perforator to an Ice Band. Mithrix is sent back home to watch you charge the shit from his couch. It's also enough to proc bands on its own, so you're looking at an extremely consistent way to deal high damage every 10 seconds. So here's default commando damage against a Mithrix that I just kind of spawned in on Titanic Plains. And here's that same damage with Blast Shower and the ATG combo we talked about. It's pretty substantial in the amount of damage we're doing. And now the best boss item in all of Risk of Rain 2 is, of course, the Irradiant Pearl. I mean, come on. Boosting all stats by 10% is crazy. Health, regen, movement speed, damage, attack speed, crit chance, and armor all increased by 10% linearly, with just a 20% chance to drop from a cleansing pool. These easily can change a run and are so fun to use. This is essentially 1.5 mochas, a crit glasses, half a watch, a normal pearl, plus more in a single item. This is up there with one of the best items in all of Risk of Rain 2, and easily deserves the #1 spot. And there you have it, the full ranking of every yellow item in Risk of Rain 2. Let me know what you would change in the comments below, and subscribe so you're ready for the Void ranking coming up.